Hello everyone, this is Arjun and welcome to ProCoder. We are going to see how to implement a linked list in Java. If you haven't already, I highly recommend you to go and check our website for the previous video in which I have explained the basics of linked list. Even though you won't be using its implementation a lot while writing programs, it is still very important to understand this because it will help you understand the internal working of linked list, enabling you to use it correctly. By implementation, I mean that we will be creating our own linked list using objects as nodes and variables as our data. We won't use the inbuilt linked list available in Java at any point. The functions that we will be implementing are inserting at the start, at the end, and inserting at a specific index. After that, we will add the option to print any element from its index, that is the get method. We will also print its size. Now we will start with the implementation. We are going to make two classes for this. The linked list implementation class, which will store all the functions for implementing our linked list. The second class is going to be the node class, in which we are going to define the attributes of our node. Let's start with the class node. As you know, we need the data and the object for reference in each node. So let's define the data as inData, and let's define the node as node next. Now we are going to create two constructors. These will be used when we need to handle a new node in the other class. So the first constructor will have only the data as the argument, and the second one will have both the reference and the data. These basically assign values to your node when called from the second class. So for that we are going to write node. Then for the argument for the first one we are going to take just the inData, or we can write this new data. After that we are going to assign data to new data and next to null. So basically whenever this constructor is called, whatever value is passed will be given to the data and our object is going to be set to null. Now we will create the second constructor, which will take the data as well as our new node, that is new next. Here we are going to make data equals to new data as before, and this time instead of setting next to null, it will be set to the new next value that will be passed. Prior to getting into the main implementation, I want to introduce a new concept. While coding for big projects, we use getters and setters to make our task easier. These are functions that we create in such a way that when we call a getter, it returns a value that we need, and when we call a setter, a new value should be assigned to whatever we are working with. We will be using getters and setters today, so it is important for you to know how they work. I think we will need to get two things in our linked list, the data and the reference to the next node. And we will also need to assign two values as well, the data and the next reference, using the set method. So if we go ahead and write the get method for data, we can simply write int get data, and we can simply return the data, and that will be it for the function. So if we write the method for data, we can simply write int get data, and we don't need any arguments, so we can just go ahead and return the data. We can do the same for our object as well, writing get next. Here also there will be no arguments, and we will simply return next. And remember, instead of int there is going to be node, because we are going to be returning the node, not the data. So by doing this, whenever we need to access the data or our object, we can simply call these two functions. Moving over to setters, here we don't need to return anything. Rather, we need to set the value of our data and the object to something new. So we will take the new value in the arguments and simply assign that value to our variables. So here we'll write void because we don't need to return anything, and we can do set data, and over here we can write int new data, the data that will be passed, and add it to our data value. So we can write data equals to new data, So the new data will be assigned to our actual variable whenever we call this function. And we write the same thing for our object next as well. We're going to pass the new node and we are going to set next to the new next. Now if you see, we forgot one thing. All these will need to be public because these will be accessed by another class. Now that we're clear with the node class, let's move to the second class and start writing the functions for our linked list. In our second class, we will create an object whose type is going to be the node class. We can do this directly since the class was public. So we can write node head. We will name this node as head, which makes it obvious that this will be acting as our head node or the starting node. Now we are going to define two constructors. One will have no arguments and will simply make our head as null, and the second constructor will initialize a value to our head. Remember that throughout the process, we will be keeping count of all the new nodes created, so we can correctly call the size function that will make in the future to return the number of elements in our list. So for that we are going to write int count, and then we can go ahead and make the constructors, which is going to be as public linked list implementation, and no arguments will be passed for the first one. And inside we are simply going to make our head as null and our count as 0. In the second constructor, we will be passing one argument as the new data, and here we are going to be initializing our head for the new object as new node, and we will get the data for new data. And remember, we will also change count to 1 instead of 0 because we will be adding a value right over here. Now, instead of implementing all the different add functions, let's take a look at how adding works in a linked list. So let's take the list 1, 2, 5 and 7 for example. And let's say we want to add 4 to the list. We can either add it at the end, at the start, or at any position using the index. If we add an element, remember that we will also need to add the reference part to it, otherwise we won't have a complete node. To add this, the first node refers to the second node and the others do the same, while the last node refers to null. If we add the element at the end, remember that we will have to change the reference of the last node from null to the reference of the new node that we add, and we will have to set the reference of the new node to null. So we will go ahead and add the new node over here with the data 4, and it is going to refer to null. So if you see, we change the reference of our 7 node to the node of 4, and we set the value of a new added node to null. If we want to add it at the start of our list, we simply add the reference to our first node to our new node and change the head value to our new node. It becomes a little tricky if we try to add it somewhere in the middle. Let's say we want to add it at index 2. So after doing that, 2 will point to a new element instead of 5. Index of 5 will become 3 and index of 7 will become 4, and 4 will be placed at index 2. In order to do this, we will have to change the reference of a 2 to our new node and add the reference of 5 to our new node as well. So we will add a reference over here with the element 4, and this will point to 5 instead of 2. And this is how you add a new node in the middle. Now that we are clear with the add functions, let's go ahead and actually implement it in Java. If we want to add the node at the end, we will take only one argument, that is going to be the new data. Inside this, we will take a new node, that is temp, and it will store our new data for now. We will make our current node equal to the head node. We will do this so that we can iterate from the beginning of our list. The logic we're going to use here is that we need to iterate to the end of our list, and when we reach there, we use the setter method that we had created in our class node and set the value of the new node to temp in current. To iterate till the end, we will run a while loop. Here we will use the getter method. So we take a while loop. Here we are going to iterate till current.getNext, that is the getter method, is not equal to null. It means that when we reach the end, our getNext will refer to null since there will be no node left to get to. In the end, we will be at our last node. Then we can simply use setNext to set the value we had in temp here, hence adding a new node at the end. So we write current.setNext and we pass temp that we have stored earlier for the new data. After that, we will increment count, meaning that we have a new node added. The add first function will be rather straightforward. We take the new value and assign it to the new node. We will change its value from null to head so that we have our new node at the beginning. Now we write the new function for add first. It will again take one argument for the data. Inside this function, first we can create a new node with our new data. Then we go node.data equals to new data, and we write node.next equals to null. After setting the values, we are going to change node.next to head, meaning we are adding it to the first place where the head is supposed to be. Then we make head equals to the node and increase the count once again. Actually, we can go ahead and remove these lines because if you see, we're already assigning new data over here, so we don't need to do that again. And if you know, objects by default are set to null, so we don't really need to do this, but we will just keep it there for now. Moving over to the function where we will add the node at the given index. So obviously we are going to take two arguments over here instead of one. First one is going to be the index and second one again is going to be the data. We will again add the new node and set its data part to the new value. For that, we write the same thing again. If the index is passed as 0, it means that we need to add the element at the start. So we can simply call the add first function instead of writing the whole program for that. So the first part we can go, if index is equals to 0, we can simply go ahead and call our add first with the new data. Else, we do the rest of the program. We will again create a temporary node named n. Is going to start from the beginning, so we'll assign it to head. Our new node will iterate till the position where we need to add the new node using a for loop. When we reach the position, we set the reference of the node to the next node present after it using node.next equals to n.next. Then we will insert the new node in the place. So we are now going to run a for loop. Starting from 0, it will run till index minus 1 because we use the next function already for our data. Then we will assign n equals to n.next so that by the end of the loop we have reached the position. Now we will set the reference of the node to the next node present after it, that is node.next will be assigned to the n.next. Now we can insert this new node into the next place using n.next equals to node. We again increment the value for count. Now we are going to add the functionality to get the element present at a particular node. So to do this, we will take the index in the arguments. First, let's go ahead and define a function as void get. It is going to take the index for the arguments. First, we need to make sure that the request is not made on an invalid position. So if the index is less than 0, we return -1 as an error value. We will have to change this from void to end because we will be passing the value. Otherwise, we can again do the same thing that we did the last time. We assign the current node to the head and then iterate till the position of the required node. So again we are going to define node of current equals to head. Then we are going to iterate till the position that we need to reach. We will again write current equals to current dot get next, so that we keep iterating to the next node, and then we can simply return the value that we have at the current index. This is going to be data because we're not going to return the object. If you see, in the previous function we had written index minus 1, but here we wrote just index. This is because in the previous function we had to add a new node, so we needed to iterate to the previous node and then add the object over here. But here we don't need to reach the previous node because we have to return the current node. So we simply go till index and return the data at that place. Now we are going to write a couple of very easy functions. We will return the size and return if the list is empty or not. For size, we are going to simply return our count that we have been storing all this time. Now we are going to check if the function is empty or not. So that we are going to take a boolean value for the return, and we are going to simply return if the head is equals to null or not. If the head is equal to null, that means it is not pointing to something and the list is empty. Now we will implement the remove function to remove an element from the back of the list. Now let's take a look at how we will approach this. We will again take the list 1, 2, 5 and 7. When the remove function is invoked, it should remove the last element, that is 7, and 5 should point to null. So after that, this part is going to be removed and simply 5 is going to point to null. In order to achieve this, we will use a while loop. It is going to run till the next element is null, but it will stop one element prior to it. So we write our functions remove it is again going to take a new node as current, which is going to start from the head, and we will iterate over it while current dot get next is not equals to null. We are doing this because we need to stop at one element before our actual last element. So we are going to add 2 get next so that we iterate till the second last element. Inside the loop, again we are going to simply set the current node to the next node. Now that we are at the second last node, we can simply set its value to null, hence removing its reference to the last node. Since there will be no reference left for the last node, simply our second last element is going to become a last node. So we can set its value to null. And here we will decrement the count because one element has been removed. So this is it for now. Let's go ahead and use these functions in our main function to see if they work or not. So we go ahead and write the main function. First, we will create an object called list. Remember that this object will be of our current class LinkedList implementation instead of the node class. All our other objects were part of the other class, that is the node class. We will name this object as list. And here you see we are calling the constructor with no arguments instead of the one that had one argument. So it means that head initially will be set to null. You can go ahead and use list.add first. As you can see, add first takes one data and then adds it to the beginning of a list. So we can go ahead and add 10. After that, we are going to print our size of the list at this point, which should return 1. Then we're going to again use the add first function. We're going to add 1 this time at the beginning of our list. Then we can go ahead and call the function remove. But first, again, we are going to print its size in order to make sure that the size is updating. we can go ahead and remove an element at the last index, that is 10 for now. So at this point, we should be left with 1 in our list. We can go ahead and do list.get and provide it with the index 0, which should return 1 in this case. Let's go ahead and run this program. We made a little mistake over here. We are supposed to put the get function inside a print statement since it is going to return a value. Let's go ahead and run this again. So as you can see, first it gave the output as 1 because we were printing the size, which is 1 after entering the first element. Then the output was 2 because now our size is going to become 2 after entering the second element. Then we removed the second element and we went ahead and used the get function to print the element at index 0, which is obviously 1. I have not used all the functions that we have created, and I have also not created all the functions that are present for a linked list. I will add more functions in the code we provide, but I think you should also try to implement your own functions. You can try to implement the function contains, which is going to take an element in its argument and it is going to check if that element is present in the list or not. You can try this yourself and the code will be provided. If you are stuck anywhere, you can always refer to it. We have just completed a very tough, interesting, long and important topic. It may take some time for them to sink in. Keep practicing with these functions and with the concept of objects until it is clear. You may refer to the objects video on our website if you want. Thank you for watching and have a great day.